Well, hello, my beautiful Aquarians. Welcome to my channel. This is Baba Jolie here with a little bonus reading all about you. I've already cleansed your space and have meditated on your cards. For those of you who are returning, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for all your wonderful likes, shares, and subscribes. I am truly grateful for all your beautiful energy. Just a little reminder though, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one reading, just so you're aware. Also, please be mindful, scammers are about, pretending to be me and lots of other tarot readers. I do not do personal readings and I will never reach out to you personally to offer one. Also, I will never ask you for money, e-gifts, or donations. So if anyone masquerading as me asks for anything at all, please report them or ignore them. It is a scam, okay? Let's move straight on with your reading. Now, I will be using Gaia chimes, so please be mindful to turn down your volume if you are someone who is sensitive to sound. So let us start your reading and let us begin. Okay, my beautiful Aquarians, this is a little bonus reading all about you. As tarot readers, we tend to focus on career, money, love, but we never ask, how are you doing? So this reading is going to tap into what you're moving through at this moment in time and, of course, what lies on the other side. Now, this reading tends to be very precise, so it may not resonate with all of you. If it doesn't resonate, please don't ever try to make it fit, but I do hope it resonates in some shape or form. Now, also, you will have an accompaniment of the rain at this moment in time, something very comforting about that energy, maybe cleansing at this time. Perhaps this is something you're thinking about, detoxifying, really releasing pressure at this moment in time. But let's get to the cards and see what you're going through and, of course, how you're moving through this time period and what lies on the other side, okay? Thank you so much, Spirit Guides, Guardian Angels. Straight away there we have the Ace of Swords. So this is an energy of you moving through change because the Death card is your crossing energy. Something's changed. Something monumental has changed within you, but also in your external circumstances. You're taking accountability of how to be flexible within those changes, and it's a lot. Because the Death card is in the crossing position, which means some of these changes may have been thrust upon you. You're adapting to your environment in some way, and you are trying to make sense of a world that perhaps feels different somehow. I mean, on the earthly plane position, you have the Tower. So this can be a radical, deconstruction of something in your life in order to rebuild. It can indicate that you feel, to some degree, the world or your personal circumstances as you once knew it has been shaken. The foundation, you've been maybe shaken to the core on something there. I often see the Tower as a bit of a prison energy where you feel a bit stuck in a rut with something, maybe a construct of routine, repetitive cycles, or you keep receiving the same sort of lessons and messages and you're like, what is the message though? And how do I break through this? But with that Tower energy, it means that you're taking a leap of faith to leave the familiar in order to embrace the extraordinary in some way. Now, with the High Priestess in the past position, a lot of you are just trying to figure stuff out right now. Really connect to your higher self, your higher wisdom, and maybe some of you are trying to be understood, really seen, appreciated for who you are right now, and you feel there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. I mean, the fact that the rain is getting louder and louder, it's like I'm having to shout so you can actually hear me at this moment in time. So maybe some of you feel like life is full of challenge at this moment in time, and you're literally shouting into the void in some way, and you feel that it's a lot right now. It's like, is anyone else out there feeling the same way? So, that's just something that's coming from the immediate energy in your reading. We do have the Temperance energy, so you will find balance in all of these changes. We've got the Knight of Pentacles. You're working super hard there as well. And a lot of you, it feels like you're in a period of like finding more about yourself, It's like you realizing what you're capable of, but you may feel like you're in between worlds. You're outgrowing certain people, situations, and events and environments that perhaps you felt there was a familiarity with or an affinity with, and you're looking at who you share your life with, how you share yourself with your environment or with the people in your environment. And I feel a lot of you could be searching for your soul tribe or community in some way, but I also feel a lot of you are trying to just, find more moments where there's celebration, breakthroughs, that you're working really hard to hold it all together, and you've been under a lot of pressure, and a lot of you are exhausted, and it just feels like something does need to change in some way. So this could be a dynamic with a person. It doesn't always have to be the world, doesn't have to be your environment. It can be a person who's been making things really challenging. Sometimes the tower can literally be that you have that very, challenging conversation with a person that people get so irate and angry and frustrated. They're trying to articulate their needs, but it's not coming from a healthy place, or they don't know how to articulate their feelings. It all builds up, and that tower can literally be that argument that someone storms out and, bangs a door and the whole building shakes kind of energy. So it can be with a person because you have 2 threes here, 3 of Cups, which tends to be shared environments, shared activities, and of course 3 of Pentacles there as well. So it can be that people that you interact with, maybe there's been some conflict, and eventually you will find balance and you will co-align and understand each other in a deeper way to factor all the information in, so you can, have compassion and understanding there with that 2 of Cups. Yes, so this is a co-alignment if you're dealing with a person where there's challenge. This could be in a relationship, family, in your work, whatever it is. The 2 of Cups there indicates some sort of energy of, blending, understanding, kind of joining in friendship, or kind of agreeing to disagree sometimes. It's like there is a balancing of the energies there, okay? Now, for some of you, especially with the Ace of Swords, you could be taking a little bit more action in your life, getting out there, leaning into community, fun events, or wanting to do that. That's your intention with that Ace of Swords. And the 2 of Cups, if you're searching for love, this can indicate that, you're going to find a soulmate there, someone that you have an affinity with, that you can share your life with, where there's reciprocity, passion, and a bond like no other. But some of you, it could be that you're seeking friendship at this moment in time. But you're taking action on something because we have that Ace of Swords, which is a breakthrough. And I feel this is at the very core of you. And because we have that Tower, I feel there is a major revamp or something going on in your life right now, where you kind of shed things that don't work for you anymore, situations that don't align with you. You're just shifting and you're wanting new things. You're just feeling, perhaps for some of you, a little bit at odds with your environment, or that you feel somehow out of sync with something right now, whether that's the world at large, whether that's, the people around you, you're outgrowing people, situations, or whether it is something within yourself has so monumentally changed here, you're trying to manage a shift. Okay, so let's get to your first card. Ace of Swords is clarity, it's decision, it's you being a warrior. You've been going through a lot, okay? I feel like you are someone who's super strong. You have been holding it all together. The Tower is often an indication that you're someone who is really a tower of power, someone who has been holding it all together and trying to make your way through some very challenging times. If you think about this card, there's 2 camels on that card, and they are traversing a very austere environment. So it means that you're someone who is resilient, you're someone who is utilizing all your resources to get to where you want to go, and you're going to reach your destination. That King of Wands, you're influencing your circumstances, and you're seeing the bigger picture of your life. You're overcoming any of these obstacles that you're experiencing right now, and you're being sent a lifeline or some sort of breakthrough to help you get through to where you want to go. But initially, because this is the very core of you, I feel some of you may be investigating a new path or learning new truths within yourself, acknowledging that you got to let go of some things, release control on some things. But also, this can be that, you are starting to notice things that are beyond your human control, that perhaps are occurring around you, lots of changes. You know, the Death card is change that we can have control over or not. The Tower normally is something, especially when it's on the earthly plane position, it can indicate change that is thrust upon you and you're adapting to change. So a lot of you may be adapting to some sort of transformation in your life, a gear shift as it were, and you're in a transition to something greater. That's what I can see in your energy. You're taking back your power, standing up for what you believe in. You know, this figure right here is very challenging. So it's like, I'm challenging your opinion. I'm challenging what you believe in because you are re-exerting your power in a situation or saying, this is what I believe. Okay, so thoughts become things. So a lot of you could be really looking at your mindset at this moment in time. And because this reading is more about you rather than what's going on outside of you, this could be that you are challenging intrusive thoughts that threaten to tear you down, that put you under a lot of pressure. This can be that, you know, you're extra critical upon yourself sometimes and you tend to, you know, be a little bit more negative about yourself or cranky about yourself, especially under periods of pressure. So you may be watching how you talk to yourself or trying to control intrusive thoughts so that they do not tear down your energy or make you feel defeated in some way, because the Tower can be a defeated energy. I feel like you're taking action in your life, you're powering on through, and you shall conquer whatever this is, and you shall be triumphant in whatever it is that you are moving through at this moment in time. I mean, we've got breakthrough, clarity, and sharp mind. So you're aware that your thoughts become things and the words you use actually are spellings cast out into the universe. So a lot of you with that Death card energy, you could be changing your thoughts, trying to be as positive as possible. Easier said than done, I know, when you're under a lot of pressure and there's just an energy of like, perhaps the world or the circumstances that you're existing in right now, it's like they're moving the goalposts. Just when you feel like you know where you're at, something changes or shifts, and you're just so fed up of all these changes and having to adapt. It just feels like it's a lot right now. But this breakthrough is happening for you, not against you. And sometimes when you're in the midst of change, it can feel really chaotic. It can feel like you can't see ahead of how it's all going to come together. But I do see that, I mean, your outcome and your potential, you know, King of Wands is taking back control or power in your life. But sometimes we have to release that control in order to regain the control, if that makes sense. And the Temperance card is you leaning into your sense of purpose. It's about blending your energies. It's about being less critical on yourself and walking away at times where you feel like you're moving against the tide or you're moving through mud, as it were, because the world can be won another day. Sometimes you have to work with the energy, okay? And I feel like you may be just adapting or changing how you interact with something and honoring your own needs. The High Priestess indicates a period of respite or pause to really contemplate, you know, to take a withdrawal period in order to recharge your batteries or think about alternative approaches so that you're not under so much pressure. A lot of you, in terms of health, especially with the Tower energy, you could be looking at your cortisol levels right now, recognizing that perhaps some of you have been in fight or flight mode. I mean, this figure literally has a spear there and, you know, wings, so it can be that's fight or flight mode for some of you, especially if you feel something in your world has radically changed. A lot of you, as I said, you may not recognize a world you once knew, or you may not recognize people. Maybe people are challenging you or situations are really challenging you right now, and you felt that something needs to change, you're adapting, and you're taking back your power after a period of feeling stuck in a rut due to some sort of survival mode, or you have become very still because there have been some challenges and you're like, well, how do I deal with this? So I feel whatever it is you're building or rebuilding right now, it will see you conquer something or build something really monumental that brings peace. Temperance card is peace, it's harmony, it is an energy of, you know, having everything back into balance. So if you are noticing cortisol levels being super high, or you're managing blood pressure, or you're managing maybe even a symptom of an unwellness, if some of you have been unwell, for example, you could be noticing there's like flare-ups in some way with that tower energy, and you're adapting to some sort of change, whether it's, you know, you removing something or getting clear on how to manage something at this time, because I see you managing something. So if you've had flare-ups on something recently, you know, this could be that you find a practitioner who's going to help you manage some sort of flare-up so that you can get clear on a way to move forward and be free from any flare-ups there as well. So I feel sometimes, unfortunately, things get critical before they get better, and I see that they will get better here for you. And you know, a lot of you, because this is an end of a cycle card, okay? So it can indicate that as one chapter of your life is closing, another is opening. You know, energy does not die, it transforms. So I feel there's a lot of transformation going on in your life in order to open up doors to more. And I feel sometimes when we ignore that we've got to change something, the universe or our bodies or circumstances come to make things critical. Because when you feel comfortable in your life, rarely, you know, us as human beings, we will not kind of like make any advancements to change if we feel comfortable because things are going well, things are going right. But when things feel like highly pressurized, or we feel, you know, tense, or we feel there's conflict or energies that are working against, suddenly we feel we need to spring into action and make some changes. And I feel a lot of you are springing into action right now to make some changes in order to protect your inner peace, erect healthier boundaries, be on top of your health goals, and of course, have more vitality. A lot of you, you're super exhausted. You're holding it all together, and you may feel drained all the time, whether that's through circumstances outside of yourself or maybe even intrusive thoughts there. The way that you are on a path right now, especially with the changes that you're making, the King of Wands tells me there's more vitality, more energy, more, you know, drive, more kind of like of a simplified pace, as it were. And I feel that, you know, with the Two of Cups, something you're manifesting from your heart space, you are becoming a magnet, as it were, to attract it into your life, okay? Now, the Tower, of course, it says on this card, upheaval, change, and foundational shifts. And for some of you, with the Ace of Swords can be a desire to find new information. So the world that we have right now, there's a lot of conflict, of course. We've gone through some monumental shifts and changes in structures in our world. A lot of them you may feel very cautious about with that High Priestess energy because you're seeking to understand, okay? So you may be, because there is a word here, disaster, some of you may be like preempting disasters and trying to find information to stay ahead of any changes so that you're protected in all of your circumstances. I want you to be aware that this can sometimes trigger fear, of course. I see that you are protected. Always good to be savvy and to be acknowledging, you know, the changes and shifts going on in circumstances around you and in the world, of course, but you must not allow it to rob you of your joy, okay? Because we have this Three of Cups, which is like you coming back to yourself, to have fun, live in the moment, be present, and connect to the things that really excite you or the things that really make you feel like you are enjoying this ride called life, right? And sometimes the world does not afford us the opportunity to do that because we're under a lot of pressure. And on the earthly plane position right now, there is a lot of pressure for you. And I feel like you're powering on through. You're actually a tower of power. And I feel like what you're building is hard, but it is something that's achievable and is going to secure your future. You're going to be so happy. I feel like you're taking leadership, ownership, and I feel that you're someone who's resilient. That's why the camels are on this card. So you're powering on through. You'll get to the destination that you want to get to, and you know it's not a sprint, it's more of a marathon. And whether that is you trying to transform your body, perhaps you're like hitting the gym all the time and you're aware that consistency is the key to success, whether it is an opportunity that you want to accomplish, you know that you're on course to keep moving forward, and every experience you have builds on what you have already. Even if it's a setback, it teaches you something and it sets you up for something else. That's what the Death card literally means. You're shedding right now. You are letting go of things that don't align with your future, that don't align with the simplified kind of lifestyle that you're trying to achieve right now. I feel also this is you looking at people, situations, environments that have an affinity with your heart, and everything that doesn't feel like it fits. You're letting go of it. And that can feel very isolating, discombobulating, because it feels like a world you once knew is shifting or changing. So you're outgrowing a part of your life in some way, and now you're kind of like, don't get me wrong, I feel like you have goals and dreams and you're on course to reach those goals and dreams, but this is a card of soul searching within all of the things that are changing around you. You may feel like there's monumental restructuring going on, and you're asking yourself, where do I fit into all of this? Where do my family fit in? What is going on there? This can be a card of being unsure, but you're tapping into your belief system, and you are, finding that wisdom within. Trust your intuition, but don't allow, with that Ace of Swords, this can be news, it can be information. Don't allow this to kind of like raise fear or pressure within you. Acknowledge a truth as it is and trust your intuition that you will know the way to move towards what you want and feel secure in your decisions. Now, of course, that's something monumental outside of yourself as well as inside of yourself. So let's bring it back to you here with this High Priestess energy, because this is a card of questioning, okay? And it can indicate that you feel a little bit in between worlds right now, where you're, noticing that your body is coping with certain stress levels, losses of energy. You may feel that you need to protect your energy and find moments of quietness or a safe space for you to really think about what you want, your life philosophy, and your sense of purpose there as well. But you're in a kind of like a gear shift, as it were, where I feel like that you're not lost in all of this. I feel more that you're just feeling very uncomfortable because, it's where you're in a state where your old self is undergoing a transformation and your new self is kind of like being reborn, as it were, because the Death card in this position can be a rebirth. So if you feel like you've been stuck in a rut in some area of your life, you've got two cards that indicate some sort of breakthrough here, and it's like a rebirth. It's like suddenly you'll have more energy, suddenly opportunity feels more peaceful, aligned. It feels like you're not moving through mud, but you had to really sit with self to know thyself in order to understand the next step on your path, because the Ace of Swords can be the first step on something. And I mean, it says there wisdom, intuition, and the subconscious mind, of course. So a lot of you with that Ace of Swords, because it is connected to the mind, you're having a mindset that helps you transcend and elevate in frequency, because the Tower is actually a paradigm shift. A lightning bolt normally hits the top of the tower, and a lightning bolt is a high frequency energy that hits the crown chakra, the crown of the tower. So it can be that you're having lots of like epiphanies, sudden ideas, like sudden intuitive hits where you're like, I need to do this, I need to action that. And you may not understand it in this moment, but you are listening to your intuition and you're following the way. It helps you to build a foundation for your future that your future self will help you with. So a lot of you may be thinking about mindfulness at this time, because these cards indicate there's a lot of noise outside of yourself at this moment, and you're trying to limit distractions in order to really get clear on your soul mission or on your next part of your blueprint of your plans, as it were. So I feel like mindfulness, very important. Watching things that trigger you. A lot of you with that Tower, you may be looking at people or situations that trigger you right now. And because the Temperance is an opposing energy, you're trying to create a lifestyle that is simplified, that is peaceful, that is balanced, in harmony. So you're looking at triggers so that you can conquer them and not allow them to control you. So I feel like you're in this monumental shift where you're understanding your life from a very different perspective right now. And I actually see this card as a revamp for you, a restructure in some way, in order to get to this position. So, I mean, some of you may be like looking at alternative purposes. We can have more than one purpose in our lifetime, but you may be finding a new path, or you may be opening yourself up to a new way of doing something right now, contemplating the way before you make this monumental shift, and it is connected to your purpose. It will literally transform everything, but it brings you peace, whatever this is. And it says, patience, finding meaning, and the middle path. Can you have it all? The answer is yes, but you may need to make some adjustments or some changes right now, because you may be doing something and not doing something else, if that makes sense. You're doing too much of one thing and not enough of the other, because this card is like you're under pressure, you're having a life that is structured, maybe there's a lot of responsibility there, it feels like there's a heaviness, you're holding it all together, and those are things that exist that you have to acknowledge as responsibility and duty. And of course, then you have your advice to yourself in this moment, which is basically the Three of Cups, which is like, where's the fun at? Who are my people? Where's my soul tribe? Everything is transforming. Who's transforming with me and who is not? Who's coming on the next part of my journey and who is not, or what is not? Doesn't always have to be a person. But the Three of Cups is an energy of just wanting to be happy. You know, it's like, okay, there's so many changes, and these changes are bringing you back to the very core of you to find that happiness within, and then it shall filter outside of yourself as well there. And I feel like you've been very patient in all of these changes. And I feel a lot of you are exhausted and fed up with all the new changes going on in the world. And of course, outside of yourself as well there. And with that Knight of Pentacles, it is hard. I mean, in the next couple of weeks, this is the 6 weeks position, near future position. It normally means that you're working hard for the life that you have right now. You're utilizing your resources. You're someone who is honest. You're someone who is responsible. You may feel like life got pretty serious, right? That there is monumental change and you're like, where did the fun go? Where did the connection go? Because you have a Three of Cups there as well, this can be like you witnessing there is major change in community, in society. You may feel that, especially with the Tower there, you may feel that people shock you maybe a little bit more than usual. Maybe you feel that you're witnessing such radical kind of traits in people that you are concerned about the direction of society. Perhaps you're feeling it's lost its spirit in some way, or that perhaps you are trying to retain that spark to kind of like speak your truth and speak for what you believe in and stand firm in your life philosophy in some way and say, you know, we can make a difference and a change, but we have to do it together. You know, there's just this energy where you may be looking at society for some of you, because this can be a society card. More than anything, I feel it's more of a fun card. Like you want to be a little bit more playful. You want to let your hair down. You want to, you know, go out there and kind of like live in the moment and not forget the world, as it were, but kind of like forget the challenges or the structures or the changes or these things that perhaps you preempt as something to come. And you may feel you want to lighten that burden of heaviness upon yourself right now. And you will find a way to do that. But a lot of you also can be that you're witnessing perhaps society. It's like, it's not that it's lost its soul. I don't feel that at all. I feel like everyone is so challenged right now. And I feel that's something that's coming out in your energy. Everyone is so challenged right now that you feel that, you know, the only one thing that is present is community, people coming together and understanding that we're all going through something that perhaps is thrust upon us by a structure, for example, and we're dealing with that structure right now. So I'm not really sure where my guides are going with this, so I'm going to disconnect briefly from that energy because this reading's about you, okay? It's only because you have a Three of Cups there, and it just launched me out towards society and structure. And of course, Aquarius, you know, the age of Aquarius is about transformations in society. Aquarius energy is always connected to people, societies, and countries, and all of the stuff. So a lot of you are just maybe keeping abreast of knowledge with that Ace of Swords, remaining informed. And some of the things may have shocked you, but don't allow them to trigger you to raise your high cortisol levels. Because remember, all these things, you know, they inform our body. Like, for example, if you look at how people use words, you know, there can be a difference in the way people communicate, but certain words are used on purpose in order to trigger a response. So you may be like removing yourself from a lot of those triggers at this moment in time. Like, for example, clickbait, you know, there'll always be some sort of sentence that says, oh my gosh, the world is ending in like 30 seconds. You need to click this link. Now, of course, you don't click the link. You've removed yourself because the High Priestess is to withdraw into self. So a lot of you may have felt like you've become a little bit quieter over the years, or a little bit more observant, shall we say. You see things that perhaps other people don't see. The Tower is an awakening. You know, it is a sudden, like, rude awakening to certain things or certain people and their behaviors, for example. And you may not be clicking on any of those links, for example, but you may see them. So, those words can give a little bit of a response. The body is absorbing every single thing, whether it's a sound, whether it is a feeling, a vibration. Words are spellings. They're literally cast out to the universe. Words have meaning and they attach to things. So, that can be something that we absorb. So a lot of you may be trying to transform the way you talk, the words that you use, or you're aware of the things that you absorb at this time or witness, and you're removing yourself from triggers or anything that raises high cortisol levels or makes you stressed, because I feel like you're already working super hard in your life. You're like, I don't want to attach to that. Now, you're not the sort of person who would ignore it. The High Priestess does not ignore. You're the sort of person that if you can make a difference and transform, you will do, things that are above and beyond. You're the sort of person who does the hard stuff to try and make things work or come together or bring people together. But that Knight of Pentacles can indicate right now you're focused on working hard, paying your bills, and, building wealth in order to retain some sort of stability for your future. Also, when you get the Knight of Pentacles energy, it can indicate that, yes, there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. You're leaning into your traditional values at this time, and you're persevering on something. You're not giving up on something, but you may feel like you've been at a bit of a standstill for a while. And that's why I feel this Tower is working for you and not against you. It's helping you break free so that you can actually reach this point, which is your advice to yourself at this moment, which is like, where's the fun at? I just want to lean into community or, connect to people who resonate in some way. You're finding your soul tribe if you are witnessing friendships evolving in some way. But also, I feel this is you kind of like, what do I need to change or shed in order to be happy? What do I need to let go of or embrace more of in order to be happy? Because snakes, of course, they shed old skin. They rejuvenate, they rebirth. So you're doing a lot of shedding in your life right now in order to kind of like be happy. It literally says happiness right there. And snakes are all about change, and this is the year of the snake. So a lot of you are making some monumental changes in your life to be happy. And on the other side of these changes, you truly will be happy. And you will find a co-alliance to exist in, opportunity, but also peacefulness. And I feel this card also indicates, because snakes, they can represent toxicity as well. A lot of you are detoxifying, or you may radically shift something or cut something out of your diet in order to build a healthier lifestyle or be more balanced. I mean, whenever you got the Temperance energy, a lot of you could be noticing hormonal imbalances that you will correct in your future. And this could have like a knock-on effect in your body. Perhaps it could be like a hot flush, for example. Some of you may notice that your energy levels have just been dipping or changing or being up one moment and down the next. It's because you need to recalibrate something in your body at this time. The Knight of Pentacles, when you apply it to a reading like this, it normally means that you're focused on how your body works and your energy and your investment into things and how things outside of yourself affect you, your body, and your mind and your soul, okay? Because you have the opposing energy of being deep in thought with your soul. A lot of you are soul searching right now and trying to connect to things that make you feel aligned, balanced, harmonious, and not triggered, okay? Now, the circumstances outside of yourself, we have the Three of Pentacles. This is a card of sticking to your plans right now in responsibility for your duties, but also this can be that, you're leaning into your talents a little bit more. You may be discovering hidden talent, as it were, of something that perhaps you want to do more of that could bring in more money. This is a card of money, and I do see a lot of you trying to build more wealth, which you will, but there's snakes on this again. So there is some sort of change here that brings people together. So maybe some of you are setting something up or launching something that brings people together. Some of you may be getting a little bit more active in your community or finding groups of people that you do align with, that people work together. So if you're searching for your soul tribe, this card tells me that you find those people. But it says here collaboration, teamwork, and building together. So I feel that there is this energy, even if it's you and your family, or you and your partner, or you and some friends, you know, there is an energy of coming together and understanding that everyone's under a lot of pressure, but it's to share your experiences, to acknowledge that there is an empathy there, because sometimes we get so involved in our own pressures that we feel somehow isolated. And especially in the world that we built right now, where if you look at social media, for example, social media, there's so many people on there saying, oh my gosh, I'm doing so well. I'm a billionaire. I'm a millionaire. You know, I've got all this stuff. And it's just stuff. It's materialism, right? And we don't know the story behind that. We don't know what it takes to have that. It could be, you know, debt, borrowed debt to afford a certain lifestyle. It could be hot air. It could be just an image, a brand. It could be anything. My point being is, right now, you're shattering through illusions to see things as they truly are. And you're really coming back to the very core of you as to what makes you happy. What is it you're aspiring to achieve? You're not looking at anyone else as a measure. You're not looking at anybody else's lifestyle as something that you aspire to achieve. You just want to come back to the core of you and aspire to achieve what you want. And that's where you conquer it. You know, if we ever... Thank you so much, I'm so grateful. Sorry, my guides just said comparison is the thief of joy. So that is true. Comparison is the thief of joy. And I don't see you comparing your life to anybody, because the Ace of Swords tells me you're unique. Okay, you're here to shine in a different way. You're here to shatter illusions. You're here to speak your truth, even if the very core or foundation of you shakes. I mean, for some of you, you may have felt recently, because we do have a group of people here with your cards, and we've got a High Priestess, and we also have the Tower. You could be surprised by someone's behavior. You may have uncovered a secret. I mean, it doesn't have to be a negative one. It could be that you've been looking into your family lineage. Maybe you discovered a secret about a person in your family, and you're like, oh my gosh, they were a wild card. They're awesome. You know, they bucked trends. They were a rule breaker in some way, or they did something that was so unique and different. And you may actually, you know, be in awe of that person and say, wow, I come from a person who did all that. It's like a monumental surprise, but it's a happy one, because these two cards, they are connected in this spread. It can indicate, you know, a happy surprise or a happy shift or something you will celebrate. But right now, I feel you're about to experience something that brings people together. That's what I'm seeing. So either you are noticing something about your generation, you know, your family, and you're celebrating something that they did that may have shocked people, or you yourself are doing something monumental that people will celebrate, because you have a celebration card right here, backed up by the Two of Cups, which is basically you being toasted for winning something, or, you know, accomplishing something, or you just being really proud of yourself and toasting yourself, saying, I did it. Because your outcome is accomplishment, victory, taking back your power, being inspired, being a leader in your circumstances, you know, taking ownership of your life. You're affecting your life in a way that you're going to be super proud of it, but it required change. So you're in the middle of that, and it feels hard right now, but it will all come together. Now, your hope and a fear position is the Two of Cups. This is another card of balance. So you hope that what you have in your heart is magnetized and you accomplish the outcome. Two of Cups normally means you co-align. There's an agreement between you and the universe. What you have in your heart, you can have in your hand. What you have in your mind, you can have in your hand. So the two must exist together. So I feel like you're attracting what you desire right now, and that is your hope. Your fear, of course, is that you don't get what you want, or you don't align with this sense of balance there. In terms of people, because you do have people here, for some of you, you're hoping for a relationship, which I see a major spark and a curiosity, someone who's going to sweep you off your feet coming into your life. So if you are searching for love, I do see a relationship here for you. But if you're already in a relationship and you've been going through some challenges with that relationship, I feel a very honest, open, direct conversation of taking accountability needs to be done before you can actually, you know, decide on the next steps. I feel, you know, with this card in this position, a lot of you grow together with a partner if you're having some sort of challenges. And these challenges may be outside of you and your partner, and you're just together as a team facing this head on, and you're going to conquer whatever it is. But, you know, in terms of global events as well, because I'm seeing the world right now in the water there, a lot of you are hoping for unity. co-alliance, people working together. And the fear, of course, is disharmony, discord, people feeling detached against one another, a separation, a fracture, as it were. And you'd rather have harmony. You may be seeing through certain structures right now that are set up to make there be disharmony or discord in some way, and you're not buying into that, is what I see because of your cards. This card could tell me straight away, it's like, can we all just be together, and be in harmony and just celebrate each other and the fact that we exist and we're all working really hard, and we all just want peace. We just want to protect our families. We just want to enjoy the ride as much as possible. Why does it have to be so hard? Why do other people want to make it so hard? So it's like this universal party. Can we not just all come together and celebrate the moment? But unfortunately, sometimes that can be an idealistic way of visioning, but I want you to be aware that vibration transcends and helps transform the world. So actually it's not idealistic, but these may be things that you're thinking about right now. So it says unity, partnership, and connection. And you just want connection. You just want people to see you as you truly are, appreciate what you're about, but you don't need validation. You give that validation to yourself there. So I would say that which you feel like you don't have right now, you're making some monumental change in your life, and it requires a lot of effort. This is hard work. This tower energy is like you summoning all of that strength to make the changes. Where you're feeling stuck right now, because of course the death card in the resistance position, it is to feel stuck. It is to feel helpless within changes. It is to feel like things are out of your control or disruptive. It is to feel like, nothing ever changes, but I can see that things will change for you for the better. And your final card in the spread is literally overcoming the obstacle, whatever it is. But sometimes the way is through. Okay, and it says here, big picture, overcoming challenges and being a leader. So I feel like you're taking back your power. I feel like you're going to be inspired. You're taking action. You're aligning with your truth. And you may even inspire others as well because you're a visionary. But this card indicates on a personal level, some of you may be transforming your confidence. Maybe you have got quieter, smaller over the last couple of years, or you felt withdrawn and not integrated. Suddenly, you're back in the room of life, as it were. You're integrated, speaking your truth. You are aligned and you're passionate and you're reigniting that spark. You're coming home to self in some way. Even though you're an air element, you're embodying the fiery passion in your soul in order to lead, in order to be successful, in order to, attract what you desire. It's like you're reigniting your spark and you're leading with your passions and that desire that may have lain dormant, because some of you may feel like you've been on autopilot. You've been questioning a lot. You've been feeling not quite yourself. You may have felt like things don't feel like they're working, or it feels like you've not been feeling yourself for a while and you're trying to reignite your spirit or your spark in some way and rise back up to where you feel like you used to be. You may have been detached with that high priestess energy, but you can feel moments of your old self returning, maybe connecting to things that illuminate that spark within you. Some of the hobbies or things, places, people that you used to hang out with. Perhaps you've been disconnected for a while from those people, and it's great to reunite with those people or those practices, and it reminds you that all of that is still within you. Even though you're outgrowing certain aspects of yourself, that playfulness, that spark, that passion, it's still there, and the world cannot chip away at your spirit. That is for sure. That is 100% sure. So I feel like you're rising up in your energy levels, but also in your passions there. We've got the Chariot card. Okay, now the Chariot card, of course, is to push on through. It is a card of advancement. It's a card of triumph, success. But it says here, continue the struggle, and the end that you seek will be achieved. Honor, acclaim, and recognition are all possible outcomes for you if you do not quit. And I do not see you, quitting. I feel like you're powering on through. You are building something that will leave a legacy in some way. And I feel like you've got this. As you can see, this figure is going from one place to another. It's like you're in between the change. You're in between worlds, as it were, but you're leaving where you've been because where you're going to is so much more exciting, more fulfilling, more peaceful, and more rewarding than the place that you're leaving behind, as it were. But at the moment, because you're in this juxtaposition period, it feels like what you're leaving behind, or where you feel like you're at right now, has so radically changed that you're feeling a little bit bereft or questioning, like, am I ever going to return to happier times? You know, is it going to work out for me? The answer is yes. Okay, you're not going backwards, you're going forwards, and the best is yet to come. Okay, so I'm just going to go and get a trinket or rune before we close. Okay, so first off, we have a dragon, okay, which is about rising up. It is often connected to the Sphinx there. You know, this is success after adversity or difficulty. This is about you stepping into your power. It's about elevation. And if you think about, you know, a dragon, it's fiery. Fire is regenerative, and you have a King of Wands there. So it's like that fire in your belly is returning. It's regenerative. Often, you know, farmers, for example, agricultural workers, they will, you know, regenerate the earth by burning certain patches of land in order to regenerate the soil, for example. And I feel a lot of you, you're in this period of regeneration in order to rebirth in some way. And it will help as well when it comes to your personal development. And also we have a lollipop. Okay, so this can indicate, or a popsicle there, it can indicate that you are looking at triggers where you reach for quick fixes. Perhaps you are, you know, working towards life being sweet again, sweet reward. But I feel like you're doing things differently. I mean, there's literally a spiral on there, so it can indicate that you've been going round and round in circles on something, and now you're about to have a breakthrough. But I feel like, you know, whatever it is you're working towards, it is sustainable. It's not just a quick fix. I feel like you are looking for more healthier practices, more sustainable practices there as well. And perhaps you're also looking at environments and people who suck the life out of you, and you're like, I don't want to be part of that anymore. So you're erecting healthier boundaries, and you're making sure that you focus on you, your personal needs, articulating your needs from a healthy place, and holding yourself to higher standards as well. So I'll leave it there. I hope something resonates there. That was a very complex reading, so it may not resonate with all of you, of course, but I have to honor what came through and what my guides want me to say with the cards and how they've popped out, and also the meanings of the cards as well. Always look up the meanings of the cards. You'll see how they connect. But I'll leave it there, my beautiful Aquarians. Thank you so much, and love and light.